The National Gathering of Elders is a historic, first-of-its-kind event that brings together in one place elders from a diverse cross-section of Indigenous communities.
While you're bringing the minds of the people across Canada together, some of our strongest, most prayerful people, and collectively, they begin to dialogue and share.
They seem to be informing the younger people just how to go about reaching back to our old ways.
Having the opportunity to talk to the elders, we want to hear from them. We need to hear from them.
It is vital that our elders' voices are heard on several key themes. Reconciliation is something that is an important issue as the various governments in Canada consider how to approach the recommendations. Climate change is emerging as perhaps the greatest threat to humanity today. Our people have a deep-rooted and spiritual connection to the land, the water, and to the sky. And our communities grapple with the challenge of preserving and passing along our traditions and our cultures. Our elders have a significant role as trustees of our history. For far too long, women and girls in our communities have been abused, have been killed, and perhaps worse, they have disappeared without a trace, and the authorities too often turn a blind eye. It is vital that our elders' voices are heard.
They are the carriers of life. They carry the knowledge of the wisdom and their teachings. That's why I'm here today.
Our elders are foundation. The knowledge that they have is through experience, not through statistics, not through reading something, not through learning it from other people. It's the experience that they went through.
I know there's a wealth of knowledge in this conference. And I think it'd be a good place to share and solve some of our problems.
We're gathering information to help us bring back the old ways, our language, our traditions, our customs, and our beliefs.
Culture and language, or language and culture, are like two sides of the same coin. So if you remove or deny one side of the coin, you also deny the other side of the coin. Revitalization means to bring it back. I also believe that because you're Indigenous, your language and culture is embedded in your DNA.
I work at the school. I went to the school and I pretended I didn't speak a word of English. And the children were communicating with me, and they're really excited when I went in there because I was reading stories and singing to them. When I found the children get restless, I take off the drum and chant. It's really, it's good for them.
Recently, before going back to school, we gathered all the youth. We spend a week with them. We traveled to different historic sites. And they sat down and we told the stories, not only me, few of the elders, that oral history was passed down to them.
And you think in your language. There's a spirit that helps you, guides you, and tells you the proper way of doing things. But when we translate that into English, it gets very difficult for them.
So if you can start using Indigenous language, you start reawakening the DNA.
My uncle used to say, there's no such word as survival. The people knew exactly what to do when they used to live in the bush. I felt my uncle was a very, very powerful person because he knew all the story, you know? And he knew what to do to be out there, out in the land, to get their food and how to make a living.
We are not in touch as we should be with elders and learning from them how to do things in a ceremonial way. So if this conference and the conversation today could provide the start of that dialogue and reciprocal support to each other, I think it would be very amazing.
I'm from Inuvik, Northwest Territories. I grew up out on the land. There's a lot of things happen for the past, I'll say 15 years. Being warm in December, it's very different for us. These hunters, when they start going hunting, they know where to go. Without any problem, they would go to these places where they have to hunt caribou and rabbits and fish. Climate change has changed all that. It's not safe anymore for people to be traveling the way they used to travel. The ice is not that thick anymore. We have hardly any more caribou. A lot of fishes are not normal anymore. They're sick. We just lost our house through erosion. And there's lots of places that there's no more land on the places that the people built. They have to start building them further up from the river with the culture and tradition of long ago. Trying to keep that alive, it's getting harder because of the climate change.
As I'm talking here, we're introducing ideas and policies to the cities, to the farming community, to the mining community. We're asking the Aboriginal people to have input into it.
A lot of talk about traditional knowledge and how it can be used, about what's happening with the earth, and the fact that there's a kickback, that Mother Earth is mad was the term they used. That's why we're getting these huge weather changes, and particularly the veins of Mother Earth, which are the rivers. All aspects of the industry has to be looked at in terms of how we take resources out and make sure at the same time we protect the land. Clearly the room was full to maximum capacity, which means there's a lot of interest. And the greatest challenge, I think, from today's discussion is how we divide Canada into three parts. The southern part of Canada, where the heavy populated areas have different challenges. We're talking about lots of people, lots of developed land, lots of cities, disturbance of different things, versus the middle part of Canada, which is a little bit further north up to the territories and then the far north. So these measures about protecting the climate, the animals, everything, all have to be taken on in a different way.
I worked a lot in health and social development, and I've advocated for a long, long time to try to end violence against women. I was invited to speak on a panel of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls because I had a daughter that was murdered 24 years ago, and she had 4 children, and it's been a traumatic experience. And I've lobbied so hard and fought so hard to try to change things for our region. I use the anger and the energy and the pain to fight for police for our community, along with a lot of other Labrador women.
In British Columbia, we've seen our share of missing and murdered My niece was one of the first ones in 1970s. And I know firsthand the trauma in our communities. And I know in my mind and in our heart, we have the answers. And as my dear friend said, it takes courage. Don't make decisions for us. And from my work over the years, is no one can do this work unless we're a part of it. And in our language, Yayas, the work is sacred. I think that's our connection as First Peoples, right? Is our deep connection to spirit and spirituality. Against all odds, you turn to prayer. Right? Prayer is powerful. I think bringing these issues to the elders is the right place because they hold counsel, they can guide you. Sometimes all you need is somebody to listen to you.
A lot of family members and even survivors talk about needing and wanting spirituality, culture. They want ceremony. They're very keen on that being an integral part of the work that they're doing, not just because it gives an opportunity for healing, but also because it honors the ones on the other side.
Because I live in a safe place and because I know I can go home, I think it's my responsibility to speak up against violence and to be a voice for some people who can't speak for themselves.
And I'd like to finish with this. And this is how we moved education forward in BC. Is what can I do? And then what can we do as a family? Then move it beyond there. What can we do as a community? What can we do as a nation? Then let's take it nationally. And that's what I've seen.
I'm a survivor of 10 years in Shibnagada Residential School, and I came here to do a workshop. We can't just sit back and feel hurt and everything. We have to move forward all the time. Today, we're looking at TRC, the 94 calls of action.
So we take these stories now and we shape, what do we need to do? How do we try to fix and treat this harm that was done to children? And that's where our calls to action come in. The reconciliation calls to action, all 94 of them. One day I sat down and I mapped out all the calls on a wall. And I asked myself, now how many of these calls are directly related to education? It's 72.
We have to reconcile in our own minds what we want to be as human beings. I've heard that so many times from elders saying, we have to reconcile our problems, our way, and get on with our life and make a better place for everybody. So that's the way I see it.
I think this conference broadens and strengthens pride, identity. Our people can come together with so much joy and so much pride. That's reconciliation. I need a lot of energy because there's not that many of us are good in our languages. And I'm one of them, one of the last ones. Sometimes when you're working with that, you feel as if you're all by yourself out there, trying to do all the things that you believe in. Sometimes you feel like You're the only one. And this one makes me know that I'm not the only one. I get the energy from every one of you, and every one of you in this room has something to teach someone every day. I have this big, large sisters and brothers and elders all over that are striving same as me. After being here, it's just like walking out of here energized and knowing that I can do it. This is not a stopping place. It's keep on going until I can't talk anymore.
This is a chance not only for our Indigenous communities to share with each other, but also to share our culture with non-Indigenous Canadians. Knowledge is power, and events like these are about sharing knowledge and bridging cultural gaps so that we may all work together for a better future. So this first gathering is a wonderful start to a desperately needed conversation, but it's only a start. We must continue to build on the progress that's made here today.
And our intent was to create a space for elders where they felt entertained, cared for, where they can reconnect with each other and make new connections. We also wanted to create a space where we could have their voices heard and work towards reconciliation that heeds their advice.
We started with nothing when we sat with the chief and we talked about this dream, this vision. All we had was prayer. We turned to our Father through our ceremony. We called to the directions, the pipes came. Through that, they said the pipe would come from the east and that this would be going in that direction. When we lit the fire 4 days ago, the sacred fire, we took a piece of that, we made a bundle. This bundle is going to be passed on to the cultural holder of the community, that host community that this is going to. We ask that they take everything that we've gotten from this, the energy, the prayers, that it works with them. They have something to work with and start with when they light the fire, when they start their ceremony.
So this is Chief Glenn Hudson from the Pegas First Nation. They've been selected as the next host for the next national gathering for 2019.
There's no word in our language that's goodbye.
Goodbye in Cree is just really a word that's not used that much.
We don't have a word for goodbye, but what we have is tagvawuti. You're always in our hearts, even if you're far away.
They moved us. We'll see you again. And that's a beautiful way of thinking.
Ka nanut isi means I will see you again.
Tansikia, hope.
Atsunai. So Quitslala Quilad. I'll see all of you soon.